White says she got fined for her comments in support of Cheryl Reeve yesterday.
You comfortable with how physical this series has been? And the other series seemed even more physical.
So you guys, this referee situation, like if anybody thinks that this referee situation is just going to end when the finals start, they are so mistaken. It is going to be such a physical finals.
I already got fined for supporting Cheryl, so yeah, which I think is crazy. But you know, look, I think there's nothing that we want more than just consistency.
Did the refs just steal a series on national TV? Stephanie White says yes. She's calling out a -31 free throw discrepancy, ignored challenges, and moments where the whistles literally decided the outcome. You've got Indiana fighting at the rim.
Steph, why don't you think you were able to find any flow, and when that was the case, what are you trying to do to jumpstart things, maybe on the defense?
And that's a challenge. They were much more aggressive and physical defensively, and you know we didn't counter that with our off-ball actions or with our back cuts. So it's hard for us to find flow when there's a foul call every 10 seconds. I mean, it just really is. You know, and when they're at the free throw line, we can't get up and down the floor.
Grinding with energy, but every time momentum shifted, the refs were in the middle. If you think this was just about basketball, you're missing the bigger story. Stay here, because we're breaking down the receipts that make this look less like competition and more like a rigged heist. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
And if it's the Mercury versus the Fever, I hope that the refs do what they need to do to keep it under control, because not only will it be physical, but these two teams do not like each other. Phoenix plays a very physical brand of basketball. Aces normally have a pretty good whistle, but if you have, I don't know what to expect. And I don't even know the point of this video, honestly, you guys. I just wanted to give you my honest thoughts about how I'm feeling going into Game 5 tomorrow. The Fever do not love the Mercury. The Mercury do not like the Fever. The Aces play a very physical brand of basketball.
What if the Aces didn't actually beat Indiana? The refs did. Think about how wild that sounds. The Fever walked into Las Vegas in Game 1 and stunned the defending champions on their own floor. Nobody expected it. A rookie-heavy team, leaning on grit and energy, punched first and took control. Right there you could feel a wave forming. Indiana had the momentum. They weren't scared of the moment, and suddenly the Aces looked vulnerable. But that's the point where everything started to shift, not because of what players were doing, but because of what the officials weren't doing. Game 2 rolls around, and here's where it gets strange.
You mentioned that you anticipated, obviously, the Aces would want to throw the first punch tonight, but what did you feel like was the differentiating factor between, you know, Game 1 versus Game 2?
We didn't throw any.
I mean, it feels like a physical game every game. Feels like it's been a physical season. But yes, I think, you know, I feel like I've been on the ground a little bit more this series so far. But we just keep getting back up, so that's all you can really say.
I mean, the reality is they came in and they were physical and they dictated, and, you know, we were on our heels and we were passive and we were reactive to everything. You know, 28 points off of turnovers, 14 points off of offensive rebounds. I mean, they're too good.
Indiana keeps attacking the basket. Caitlin Clark drives. Kelsey Mitchell slices through. Aaliyah Boston posts strong inside. But the whistles? Silent. On the other side, the Aces are standing at the free throw line over and over again. By the time the series ended, Stephanie White pointed to the number that stuck out like a flashing red light. -31 in free throw attempts across the series. That is not a small gap. That's basically gifting a team dozens of extra scoring opportunities, while the other squad just eats body contact and keeps moving. Now picture this. Indiana fights through traffic, bumps, arms reaching, players getting hammered at the rim. You wait to see the hand go up from the ref, but nothing comes. The play continues like nothing happened.
Lexi, obviously you were a late add to the injury report today. Just how are you feeling this morning with your back, and what do you have to do to be able to play?
I mean, I'm feeling sore still.
Can't spot him 42. Like, you know, we've got to be able to handle that. I mean, they've been world champions for a reason. They have a mentality that they know exactly how to compete at this stage and at this level. And we've got to be able to respond, and we've got to be able to rise to that challenge.
But I think Just a lot of treatment, trying to get, our bodies as ready as we can be. Part of playoffs, I think, for everyone is it's the end of the season. Everyone's a little fatigued, everyone's a little sore.
The Aces drive later, a hand touches a shoulder, and suddenly, whistle, 2 free throws. The imbalance kept compounding game after game, and pretty soon it felt less like Indiana was playing the Aces and more like they were playing 2 opponents at once. The most surreal sequence came in Game 3. White motioned for a challenge. Clear as day. Television cameras picked it up. Everyone in the arena saw her calling. And yet, the referees never even acknowledged it. They just looked away, kept play running, and acted like the head coach of one of the 2 remaining playoff teams wasn't waving her arm on the sideline. That wasn't only about a missed foul. That was about a coach not being granted the basic acknowledgement of her role in the game. Imagine how you'd feel in that moment. Your season's on the line. The system gives you one tool to contest a call. You use it exactly how you're supposed to, and the refs ignore you. Players feel that energy. Nothing showed it better than Lexi Hull. She's diving into the paint, fighting through contact, ending games with bruises all down her body. She puts everything on the court, a clear symbol of how hard Indiana was willing to battle. But all that grind didn't matter when whistles constantly broke their rhythm. Every time Indiana fought back with effort, a foul at the other end flipped the momentum right back to Vegas. Hull's toughness became this unspoken metaphor. The Fever players bleed for buckets while the Aces collect theirs at the line. And then there's Aaliyah Boston. She had the job of slowing down Aya Wilson, the reigning MVP, no small task at all. And Boston did it. Hands straight up, forcing her to take contested fadeaways. Bodies colliding, but defense staying strong. Statistically, she held her own in stretches where most defenders would have been eaten alive. But even when Wilson was missing shots, whistle after whistle gave the impression she was still dominating, because free throws padded the scoring. The perception of Boston's defense got buried under the weight of foul calls that made her look like she couldn't contain her matchup. Once you put all of this together, you see why White isn't buying the idea this was just basketball. Numbers don't lie. Minus 31 at the free throw line is too wide to brush off as coincidence. Combine that with ignored challenges, quiet whistles when Indiana had the ball, and constant stoppages when Vegas attacked, and the officials clearly shaped how this series unfolded. It wasn't about who executed game plans better or who had deeper rotations. It was about the lens through which the referees allowed the game to be played. That's not a normal storyline. That's a crisis for any competitive league. Which brings us to Stephanie White's demand, because at this point, a full-scale investigation might not just be her only play, it might be the league's only way forward. Stephanie White isn't just standing up for her team. She's warning the whole league. If fans start to believe outcomes hang more on the refs than the players, that breaks the trust the WNBA has been building. The Fever fought, but the bigger issue is whether the competition itself is fair. Fans are asking the same thing right now. Are referees protecting the sport, or are they compromising it? What's next matters a lot. Do you think the WNBA will step in and fix this, or will accountability keep slipping away each season?